Hi friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. This video is a long time coming. I've been planning to do this video for like over a year now. 2023 was just like a crazy year for me. I feel like I'm finally getting back into the swing of things, so it was time to stop putting this video off. And I'm finally filming it and I am so excited to finally like get this out into the world. It's literally been written as a document on my computer for so long. It just needs to be done. I think that I was like getting in my head about making it perfect and like worrying that like I would have wanted to include something else on the list later, or like I don't know what I was really worried about. I think I just was really trying to make it perfect, but it occurred to me, if I have other things I want to add to this list, I will just make a follow-up video. Like, it's not that big of a deal, Jess. Get it together. So, with all that being said, I am here to share with you my top 15 sapphic books of all time. Not all of these will necessarily be romances because I really just wanted to include all of my favorite books across all genres and all age categories that feature sapphic characters. So that's what we're doing today. Let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm gonna start out with my middle grade category. Honestly, I couldn't make this video without Ivy Aberdeen's Letters to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. It definitely wasn't the first sapphic book I read, but it was the first sapphic book where I was like, this is incredible. I need more books like this in my life. Like, I wish I had read this book when I was a kid. Like, this is just revelatory. It was like a revelatory experience. Reading this book, honestly sobbed like I have never sobbed before in my life. That's what this book did to me. In this book, we're following our main character, Ivy. She lives, I believe, in Louisiana. Hurricane Katrina comes through, wipes out her family's home, and just leaves her town devastated. After the aftermath of the storm, Ivy kind of feels invisible and ignored because her parents are dealing with her younger siblings and finding them a home, and Ivy is really going through it, mostly because her notebook full of sketches of girls holding hands has mysteriously disappeared, and letters with her drawings show up mysteriously around town, kind of taunting her and telling her to come out and expose her true feelings. She has a crush on a girl in her class, and she kind of hopes that it's this girl that's sending the letters and kind of might reciprocate her feelings. Ivy is dealing with a lot. She's dealing with family issues, the trauma of a natural disaster, along with coming of age, coming into oneself, figuring out her sexuality and her like navigating her first crush. This book is just so incredibly written, and it's so sweet, and it's so like visceral and real, the emotions that it elicits. Even if you're not a big middle grade reader, I would recommend this to you. I think most of my friends I've recommended it to have really enjoyed it, and I think especially if you're queer in any way, like this book will just hit you right in the feels as it did me. It is incredible, definitely probably very, very close to the top among this list of favorites. And kind of going along with that one, the other book in my middle grade section is The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. This one is along the same vein of Ivy Aberdeen. It is written in the same sort of tone, deals with a lot of similar issues, but in this book we're following our main character, Sunny. Sunny has just recently gotten a heart transplant. Because of this, she can now do a lot of things that she wasn't able to do before. To kind of seize this new opportunity at life that she's been presented, she makes this bucket list of things to do, including finding a new best friend and kissing a boy for the first time. But when she completes finding a new best friend, she kind of starts to develop a crush on her and realizes that maybe kissing a boy after all is not really what she wants to be doing. In this book, we're also dealing with family issues, as Sunny's mom has kind of not been in her life a lot and now has come back into the picture. So that is a big proponent of this book as well, the difference between like biological family versus chosen family, how to navigate those relationships as a young girl, and also how to navigate coming into one's own. This book also made me sob. I think it is so beautifully written. I think it is so important. Both of these books, Ivy Aberdeen and Sunny St. James, are just so beautiful and so incredible. I love these books. I cannot recommend them enough. They are so, so beautiful. All right, and those are the only two books in my middle grade section, so let's move on to my young adult section. And the first book I have listed is Cool for the Summer by Dahlia Adler. This is probably one of the most unserious books on this list. I was shocked by how much I loved it, and I really feel like it's underrated, so I wanted to include it on this list. In this book, we're following our main character, Laura. This is almost kind of a Grease retelling. Laura has only ever wanted one boy for her like entire high school life, she has wanted Chase Harding, and Chase is now finally in their senior year paying attention to Laura, but Laura can't stop thinking about the summer fling she had with Jasmine while she was at her mom's or dad's beach house, somebody's beach house. She had a summer fling with Jasmine, but then Jasmine kind of ghosted her until Jasmine shows up at her school. So Laura has to navigate if she's going to go for the life that she always thought she wanted or if what she truly wants. This one was so much fun. It was a really short, quick read, so it's a great book for like end of the year if you're looking to meet your Goodreads goal. It's definitely not anything revolutionary, but it's really fun to see queer characters, in this case Laura is bisexual, having a cute, fun romance. Like that's what this book is at its core, and it's so cute, and I felt like it's so well done, so I would definitely recommend this one as well. Next on my list is Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. In this book, we're following our main character, Ophelia. It's Ophelia's senior year of high school, and she really thinks she knows herself really well. And one thing that she is a bit boy crazy, and all of her friends and family make fun of her for her endless string of crushes. But Ophelia is a romantic at heart and really couldn't change it, even if she wanted to, although her world gets shaken up a little bit when she finds herself having a crush on Talia Sanchez, another girl in her class. This string of self-discovery is quite difficult for Ophelia, and as her secrets start to unravel, she has to make a choice between clinging to like this fantasy version of herself that she's always imagined and subverting everyone's expectations of her in order to maybe discover who she really is. So this is very much like a coming of age story. I would not categorize this as a romance. It is more about like Ophelia coming into her sapphic identity and just her identity in general. But I thought it was so well written. I loved the depictions of family and friendship. I felt like it was just really real and showing the difficulties of being a queer teen and like coming out to your parents and how those conversations might go differently or not as expected. And it was really just at the end of the day a really heartwarming story, and it felt just very like true to real life experiences. And I don't know, I really liked this one. I thought it was so well written and very well done. And if you're looking for like a beautifully written coming of age YA that has really good family, friends, community rep, this is a great one, and I would definitely point you in this direction. Perhaps my favorite, these are like my top 15 favorite, but in every category I'm like, but I really, really love that one. That's this book. That is Six Times We Almost Kissed by Tess Sharp. I feel like I've talked about this book on my channel before, but I'm gonna keep talking about it because it is so good and so underrated. I've literally seen it nowhere. I just like picked it up on a whim from the library and read it, and it was so fucking good. It is incredible. One of my favorite books I've read in 2023. It is so good. Basically, this book is following up Penny and Tate, and Penny and Tate have always clashed, but unfortunately for them, their mothers are best friends, and even more unfortunately for them, Penny's mom decides to donate her liver, I think, to Tate's mom. And so during the recovery process for both of them, they're going to combine their households over the summer because I believe they're both single moms. Penny and Tate are going to be living right across the hall from one another, and they do nothing but fight. This is not the way they imagined spending one of their last high school summers, but it is what it is, and for the sake of their moms, Penny and Tate decide to declare a truce. But there's one hitch in the plan, because even though I said Penny and Tate are always fighting, they also are almost always kissing. So now that they're confronted with one another day in and day out, they can't really ignore this like simmering attraction between them that's always been there. This is first and foremost one of the sweetest, most pure romances I've ever read. I would definitely say that this is a romance at the end of the day, even though it does deal a lot with family dynamics, setting healthy boundaries for yourself, dealing with trauma, but Penny and Tate are really the heart of this story. The chemistry between them is incredible. It just jumps right off the page. And what I loved the most about them and their romance is that even though they like antagonize one another, at the core of their relationship, they're like the first person on one another's minds at all times. Even though like they might pick on each other, they are on one another's side, period. Like regardless, against their moms, against everyone else in their life, against like siblings and grandparents. Penny is on Tate's side and Tate is on Penny's side. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I just loved their dynamic, and I loved how they were there for one another and were like each other's person. And it just was so sweet and so powerful. This one also made me sob, and this was definitely one of those, but I think even if it didn't make me cry, like, this book is just incredible. I really love it so much. Like, this might be my favorite on the whole list, so you should read it for sure. The last book in this category is The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. I could not include this book on the list. I read this a while ago, actually in a reading vlog on my channel, and I fell in love with it. This was kind of one of those books that, like, as a queer middle schooler, I was always seeing at the library, and like, I knew it was about a lesbian girl, and I just was so terrified to like check it out because, like, what if they know? And I'm so glad that as an adult I finally read it because it really is an incredible story. In this book, we're following our main character, Cameron Post, and at the very beginning of the story, her parents die in this horrible car accident. One of Cameron's first thoughts is obviously grief for her parents, but also she's kind of relieved because as they were getting into the accident, she was kissing another girl in the barn. And so now she's relieved that her parents will never have to know this about her and be disappointed in her. But that relief doesn't last long because she now has to live with her very conservative Aunt Ruth and her old-fashioned but well-meaning grandmother. Cam becomes an expert at kind of like blending in and leaving well enough alone, but then this girl moves to town named Coley Taylor. Cam starts to fall for her and starts to maybe think that there could be something special there, but that's when Aunt Ruth intervenes and ends up sending Cam to a conversion therapy camp, and that's where the second half of the story takes place, in this conversion therapy camp. It is horrible and heartbreaking, but it is a real reality for a lot of people, even today in America, which is fucking insane and disgusting. And this book just really opens your eyes to that reality. I am very grateful that nothing even close to this has occurred in my life. But yeah, this is a very powerful book. Another one that made me cry. It's a little bit slow going, but I do think that it's beautifully written and 100% worth the read. It's just wild. I'm like getting emotional sitting here thinking about it. Yeah. Alright, on a bit of a lighter note, let's move into the adult category. Most of these are romances and a bit more lighthearted than the hard-hitting middle grade and YA. Why are we making younger people read the traumatic stuff? I don't know. Maybe you have to deal with it and process it then so you can just be happy as an adult. That's not working out for me. Anyway, the first book on my list in this section is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. Ashley Herring Blake is truly the queen of like sapphic fiction. I've loved her forever, even way before Delilah. I'm an OG stan of Ashley Herring Blake. So even though these are kind of like popular, and I'm sure you guys have heard of the rest of these books on this list for the most part, they're so worth reading, and I could not include them on the list of my favorites. Obviously, Delilah Green Doesn't Care, the first book in Ashley Herring Blake's Bright Falls series, which is an adult romance series set in the same small town that follows different characters' romance each time. So the first book, we're following Delilah Green, and Delilah lives in New York City, is a photographer, and she swears that she's never going to go back to her hometown of Bright Falls. But when Delilah's estranged stepsister Astrid begs her to come back and photograph her wedding and also offers her a fat check, Delilah's like, fine, okay. Once back in Bright Falls, she sees Astrid's friend Claire for the first time in quite a long time. Claire is very attractive, and Delilah decides that while she's there, she might as well have a little bit of fun. Claire thinks Delilah is an unwelcome surprise at first, but the two grow closer throughout the story, especially because Delilah, Claire, and their other friend Iris hatch this plan to break Astrid up with her fiance because he's horrible. So that is a really funny, fun aspect of this book. And of course, Claire and Delilah fall in love along the way, and it's super cute. Claire also has a young daughter, and I just really loved Delilah's interactions with Claire's daughter because Delilah is very much like all hard edges, like wears leather, tough girl, but then she's so sweet with Claire's daughter and like charms her instantly, and they're like besties. It's so cute. And this whole entire romance is just really cute. I really liked the way that Astrid and Claire's relationship developed. It can be a little bit slow in parts. It's not like a super like smutty romance. It's definitely super cute, and it's definitely worth the read. It is very good. I liked it a lot. And of course, we have to include Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. In the first book, as I mentioned, Astrid is the one getting married and the one they're trying to break up, her and her fiance. Spoiler alert, they succeed, and Astrid has her own sapphic romance in this book. I really liked Astrid's story because she kind of discovers her bisexuality later in life, which is very interesting and like unlike a lot of other books in the genre, I feel like. So for Astrid, failure is unacceptable, and ever since she broke up with her fiance, she's been very focused on her career. She's an interior designer, and she gets this great opportunity opportunity to renovate the Everwood Inn on a popular home improvement television show, so she jumps at this chance. She thinks it's like her big break. However, Astrid never planned on Jordan Everwood, who is the granddaughter, I think, of the owner of the inn, and Jordan is like dead set against everything Astrid suggests. She really wants to maintain the like integrity and history of the inn, whereas Astrid's plans are all like uber modern, whitewashed, you know. So Jordan like throws wrenches into Astrid's plan all the time, and they have this very antagonistic relationship in the beginning. Production loves it and it's like, you guys need to ham this up. When their like anger and tension with each other bubbles over outside of work, they have to like keep it up at work. It's this really interesting dynamic, and so it kind of almost turns into like an enemies to lovers. It's definitely bad first impression. Astrid's first impression on Jordan is horrible, but it's really funny, and I really loved their chemistry and I liked their banter. I almost wished the like enemies part lasted a little bit longer in this book, but overall it was really cute. And there's some actually really hot scenes in this book. Like I think the smut in this one is way better than in Delilah. So I really liked that as well. I just really liked Astrid and Jordan's dynamic. It was super cute. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I'm sure you will too if you pick it up. Next on my list is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, probably the most famous book on this list. I really loved it. I feel like this book gets some hate, but I thought it was fucking fantastic, so if you haven't read it, I think you should. This book follows our main character, August. August is a cynical 23-year-old who just moved to NYC. She doesn't believe in magic and cinematic love stories or any of that bullshit. So when she meets Jane on her subway commute to work, she really doesn't think a lot of it, but quickly Jane becomes the highlight of August's day and her subway crush starts to turn into a little bit more. But the problem is, Jane doesn't just look like an old school punk rocker, she actually is an old school punk rocker stuck in a time loop from the 1970s. And so August has to put her whole self into figuring out how to get Jane out of this time loop in order to help her out. The two have a very lovely romance. There's people that talk shit about the subway sex scene. I loved it. I don't know what that says about me, but I was very into it. I really liked this book a lot. I definitely have a huge crush on Jane. I don't know, I just liked this book a lot. I liked the whimsy of it. I liked the like relationship building. August's roommates are also like a huge highlight of this book. They're so much fun, and just like the yearning, the banter, and the romance between August and Jane is just unmatched. Like Casey McQuiston. There's no one like Casey McQuiston. I loved this book so much. Next on my list is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. This is a historical sapphic Regency romance, and it is so gorgeous and beautiful. It is lovely. In it, we're following our main character, Lucy Mulchaney. Lucy has this ex-lover that she's been hooking up with for a while, who she watches get married, and she's pretty destroyed by this, especially because her ex-lover is just seemingly okay with like moving on and forgetting about Lucy. So she really needs an escape, and so when she finds a letter from the Countess of Moth looking for someone to translate French astronomy text with it, which is right up Lucy's alley. Lucy is a woman in STEM. She knows exactly where to go. She shows up on the Countess's doorstep like begging for this job, and the Countess is like, sure, why not? You can stay with me while you work on this. And of course they begin to fall for one another. This is lovely. It is age gap. It's one of the most beautiful romances I've ever read. Like literally only a romance between two women, non-men, could be this beautiful. Like these two just like grow to care and love each other so deeply and fully, and are just 100% in, so supportive of one another, so just like lovely and kind to one another. It is so beautiful. Not only is it beautifully written, but just like the feelings between the two, the way things are like evoked, the like quotes they say to one another. It's just so gorgeous, so wonderful. I love this book so much. And it's definitely one of my favorite historical romances that I've ever read. Kind of in a similar vein to Delilah Green and Astrid Parker are Written in the Stars and Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. These are also in another series that is a contemporary romance series set in Seattle, and it follows like a group of friends and their individual romances. Each book follows a different couple. The first book is Written in the Stars, and in this book we're following Elle and Darcy. Elle and Darcy have a disastrous first date. It's a blind date set up by Darcy's brother, who is also Elle's co-worker, and it just goes horribly. They are not a match at all, or so they think. But Darcy's really tired of her brother meddling in her love life, so she's like, hey, this date went great actually, and I really liked Elle. And then when Brandon conveys this to Elle the next day at work, Elle is like, were we on the same date. But Darcy begs Elle to go along with it, and Elle is like, fine. She has some like family stuff that she could use a fake girlfriend to help her out with too. So they like strike up this fake dating deal to get Brandon off Darcy's back and to help Elle out with her family. Of course, though, they fall in love along the way. And this was just a really fun romance. It's definitely grumpy sunshine. Darcy is very like buttoned up, practical, no nonsense, the grumpy one, and Elle is very much like flighty. Like her business is like an astronomy business. Like she's very much like free-spirited, and so that's why they think they don't click at first, but they really come to balance each other out really well. My favorite scene in this book is the escape room scene. I love it. It is so cute, and that's when they first kind of start to realize their feelings for one another. I really liked this book. It is so much fun. There's like not a bad moment in it. It's just like so lovely and such a good time, and it will just make you feel all warm and fuzzy, and it's lovely. And in a similar vein, Count Your Lucky Stars is following Elle's best friend Margot in her romance. Margot is someone who doesn't do relationships, but this is the third book in the series, so all of her friends have kind of coupled up. She's kind of feeling like a fifth wheel, kind of feeling left out, but then fate intervenes. While she's touring a wedding venue with her engaged friends, I think it's Brandon, Margot comes face to face with Olivia Grant, who is her childhood friend and first love. And so like, what is Olivia doing here? She's a wedding planner, planning Brandon's wedding. And the two kind of fell out of contact after high school, I think. A series of unfortunate events lands Olivia without a place to stay. So because Margot is such a good person, she offers up her spare room for Olivia to stay in. And of course, as we know, forced proximity always ends up in love. So this is a really cute like second chance friends to lovers story, and I really liked it and had just as much fun with this one as I did with Brandon and the Stars. This is a really fun series. Honestly though, you can skip the second book. Brandon's book is book number 2, Darcy's brother, Elle and Margot's friend. He has like a childhood friends to lovers story with a woman, and I believe that they're both queer. Like it is a queer book. It's terrible. The romance is just really weird. I did not like that one at all. So in my opinion, you can skip that one and just read Written in the Stars and then Count Your Lucky Stars, and then you'll be golden. And the last book in my adult section is Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding by Chancia C. Higgins. This is probably the most underrated book in this like category, maybe in this whole list. And I really like this one. I don't hear people talking about it. I thought it was excellent, and it's just a lot of fun. It's like kind of camp. So Chris and Devon are contestants on a reality game show called Instant I Do, in which the contestants have to convince their friends and family that they're actually getting married in order to like win prize money. They're both doing it for different reasons. Chris is on the cusp of making it as an influencer and really thinks that this TV show will help like boost her brand. Devon is kind of just trying to break out of her shell. She's honestly still not come out to her parents or her family, and so she really thinks this like flashy fake TV wedding is the way to do it. Not so sure about that. Everyone has their own coming out stories though, so you know, whatever. But selling their chemistry on camera is a breeze because they actually have insane chemistry between one another in real life. But honestly, this like fake reality wedding TV show is not necessarily the best way to build a good foundation for the relationship. So they have to figure out if what they have is real, if it's worth like blowing everything up for, and what they're gonna do. So I thought that this was really cute. The chemistry between Chris and Devon is literally like burns off the page. It is so hot. Like the smut in this is incredible, and just the way they like treat one another and their dynamic is just so sensual and lovely. I had so much fun reading this book. It's very humorous. I love Chris and Devon's chemistry and the way their relationship and friendship built. They definitely have like an instant attraction, but I don't know, I thought they did a good job like communicating and working through things and meeting in the middle. Like, I don't know, I really liked this book, and I thought the reality TV show setting was really fun and added like some cool interesting elements to this book. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good. Okay, and then I have one last category that's holiday romances. Of course, this video is coming out during the holiday season, so I figured I would throw some of these in here. Also, like, they are generally a part of my top 15 favorite sapphic romances. Like, I love a good holiday romance, especially if it's sapphic. The first one I want to mention is Season of Love by Helena Greer. This book follows Miriam Blum, and Miriam Blum is having a great life. She is thriving as an artist in Charleston, but then some devastating news forces her into like a very unwanted family reunion. So basically, her beloved great aunt Cass passed away and left her Jewish-run Christmas tree farm. And so Miriam has to kind of pack up and move back to try and figure out what she's going to do with this farm, reunite with her family. We're also following Noelle Northwood, who is the farm's manager and really wants nothing to do with Miriam Blum. She wants Miriam to like sell her share in the farm to the family who has always been there and to get out and leave. The two keep butting heads, but they both want to save Kerrigan's. So they figure out that they're going to have to trust one another and work together in order to do this, and they also fall in love. This is a really cute enemies to lovers Christmassy romance set on a Christmas tree farm. Literally, what more could you want? I feel like this one doesn't have the best reviews, but I honestly loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. I have no complaints. I thought the romance was so cute. I loved their chemistry. I loved their size difference. I thought they were just so cute together. I really liked it. And I thought the plot was good. And I thought the like 3rd act conflict and reunion was fantastic, which I don't often say. So yeah, I really liked this one. I thought it was great. And last but not least, I must include Kids Are Once for Me by Alison Cochran. I love this book so much. It is definitely the best Christmas romance I've ever read. I love it. It's so good. This book is following Ellie. A year ago, Ellie had her dream job in animation, and she also had a Christmas Eve meet cute with a woman at a bookstore that led her to fall in love over the course of a single night. But after a betrayal the next morning and the loss of her job soon after, Ellie has kind of been spiraling ever since. She now works at a local coffee shop, and she's just getting through the days until Andrew, who is the landlord of the coffee shop, comes in and proposes this crazy plan for Ellie to fake marry him so that he can get his inheritance. And the first step of that is taking Ellie to his family Christmas up in like a cabin in the woods or something. But when they get there and Andrew introduces Ellie to his sister Jack, Ellie realizes that this is the woman she fell in love with last year. So what's a girl to do? Despite this like relationship that she has with Andrew, that everyone in Andrew's family has to think is real, she is also realizing she's still very much in love with Jack. So it's quite the conflict going on in this book, but honestly it was so cute. This one I didn't love the 3rd act conflict and resolution. I thought that it was a little harsh and a little quick respectively, but everything else about this book is wonderful. It includes plenty of Taylor Swift references. It is so cute, so cozy, so angsty. The angst just killed me, but it was so good at the end of the day. I loved it so much. All right, I think that's it for this video. Those were my top 15 sapphic romances books of all time. I wholeheartedly recommend every single book on this list, and if you want to buy a copy for yourself, I will have links in the description. These are affiliate links. Earn a tiny commission at no additional cost to you if you shop through my links. A great way to support the channel. If not, that's cool too. I understand. But it's there if you want it. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you're not already, I would really appreciate you to subscribe. I make a lot of queer bookish content around here. Try and post 2 videos a week. I have Vlogmas coming up. I'm trying to do a video every other day this year. We'll see how that goes. Famously not very consistent, but I try my best. A free way to support this channel is to give this video a like or leave me a comment down in the description. Please let me know your favorite sapphic books that I need to read immediately, because I would like to know, and I love reading sapphic books and I will read them immediately. I think that's all for me. If you want to follow me on social media too, those are in the description as well. But yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending your time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.